Hi, my name is Joey Biggs. Today is June 23rd, 2021, and I am 24 years old.
Let me ask you this, Joey. If you were invisible for one day, what would you do?
I would sneak on airplanes all day.
Where would you go? Like, where are you looking to head to?
Australia, Japan, Italy, Mexico, and Canada.
Ooh, interesting. Are those your is that your ethnicity background?
Some, the Italy part is, I just would like to see different parts of the country, see different parts of the world, and see new cultures and experiences.
That's very interesting because a lot of people they don't say that. You'd be surprised by what the number one answer is. But that's very interesting there.
A lot of people don't like to travel outside of the United States because they're not comfortable. I believe over 50% of the population doesn't even have a passport. So, it's harder. They think that living in America, you can see everything that there is to see. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a lot to see, but there's more than just America.
That being said, what would be 3 words to describe you?
Enigmatic, bold, and fierce.
Hmm. What would 12-year-old you not believe about adult you?
Okay, that is a very good question. 12-year-old me would not even believe that I'm even alive, let alone traveling, going places, meeting my father, being married, just living in Las Vegas even. Like, the shit I've done at my age already is a lot of things that a lot of people don't even do in half their lifetime. So even 12-year-old me didn't even see myself going past 18, let alone being 24 today. So
Can you talk about meeting your father?
meeting my father was a very enlightening experience. I was essentially like, my mother took me overnight and put me in Alaska. And when I met my father, I just met him in April. No, I'm sorry, May, because he contacted me before my birthday. And when I met him in May, it was a huge difference because I had to stop being so angry and look at it from his perspective and look at the fact that this man just reached out to me. He made himself very vulnerable to me, and I couldn't be an ass about it, essentially. And when I met him, it put down the pieces that I was looking for throughout my life, throughout my childhood. I mean, I didn't grow up without my dad, so being in New York City, meeting my dad in my hotel room, I'm in Manhattan, we're in the Hilton together. It feels like a dream. Like, is this really reality right now? So it was a very enlightening and humbling experience meeting my father.
Now, you're a gay American, correct?
Yes. Well, bisexual American.
Oh, bisexual, gotcha.
Part of the LGBTQIA spectrum. So
How did your dad take that news, your father?
my biological or my adoptive?
Well, I would say both. Or who did? So you probably told your adopted first, then, huh?
Yes, my
So
adoptive.
so how did coming out? Like, can you explain that? Like how that process was and like feelings behind that, repercussions.
Very hard topic, but I got you. So I was about 13 years old when I came out. It was in November, and I was actually in Las Vegas when I came out, and I was at this hotel, and it's right by the Buca de Beppo on the Strip. I think it's like the Hilton Homewood Suites or something like that. And I was there with my cousin. He was the very first person I told, and I told him I was bisexual and I had a boyfriend. He was like, okay, cool. And so when we got back to Alaska, my mom started questioning me, and she was like, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" And I'm like, "No, like Catholic families, so that shit doesn't fly. And when I came out, my mom like pressured me all day, and my sister was like, "Look, I already know you're gay. I have gay friends. Like, it doesn't matter." And then I told my mom, I was like, "I'm not gay. I'm bi." And she's like, "That's impossible. You can't like both." I was like, "Really?" Because it is possible. Because clearly I like both. And she belittled me, and I told her, "Don't tell Dad when he comes home." Soon as my father walks in, she outs me, tells him, "Oh, you have a gay son." And my adoptive father, beats the shit out of me, kicks me out, told me, "Oh,
Dang, how old?
Huh?
How old? At 13?
I was 13.
Dang.
And he said, "Oh, should I have a fucking faggot for a son? Should I go around screaming I have a faggot at work for a son?" And it really hurt. It's not that I never got over it, it's just that I refuse to accept what my adoptive father did to me, because no parent should do that to their child. Especially that you're going to adopt a child and then do something like that. And so my parents actually sent me to multiple places, treatment centers, because they didn't want to take care of me. They thought that it was some perversion, and they thought it was an embarrassment to the family. And so they were just like, whatever. And when I told my actual father about it, he broke down and started crying. He's like, "I don't understand how somebody could treat my child like that. I don't understand. He's like, you're a human being. It doesn't matter what you are at the end of the day." So it was very different to have both sides of coming out, the negative and the positive side of it.
That's completely different there.
Yeah.
Now, that's really tough with dealing with something like that at a young age. Today, being 24, what's the biggest thing you struggle with?
The nightmares. I struggle with the PTSD. The nightmares of the places my mom sent me to. I mean, I knew I didn't belong there.
Yeah.
Other kids knew I didn't belong there. The staff knew I didn't belong there. They were telling my mother it was making me more depressed being there. And I struggle with that still. I struggle going to sleep sometimes because I'm afraid that I'm going to have a nightmare and when I say these nightmares, I'm talking about where I'm locked in those places my mother sent me to, and sometimes they're on fire and I can't get out, or she will be there and her shape shifts and we're like yelling at each other. And so that's one of the things I really struggle with day to day, is the PTSD from the after effects of being in those places.
What's your current relationship with your adoptive?
I don't speak to her at all. I shut her out for the final time about 3 years ago. Yeah, no, it was 2 years ago. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. I couldn't deal with the narcissism. I couldn't deal with the belittling. I couldn't deal with the lies. I couldn't deal with the non-accountability. And I'm going to be real, every time I looked at that woman, I felt pain. I felt anger. I wanted to punch her in the face. And I can't be around somebody like that. Somebody that doesn't care, somebody that won't acknowledge anything that they've done wrong, and somebody that has been so negative towards me in my life for many years. So once I knew that I could really get rid of her and move on with my life, I chose that route, and I've been nothing but much better off.
So for people, because I'm sure there's people going through similar situations as the ones you went through, like what advice would you give a young teen going through the
My advice, so funny. Don't depend on others. As soon as you become working age, work. Don't depend on your friends. Don't depend on your family. because at the end of the day, it's going to be you. You're going to be 18. You're going to move on from this. You're going to look back at all of this and you're like, holy shit. It wasn't as bad as it seems. It was a fucked up situation. But you're going to look back and you're going to realize that it was something that you had to go through in order to become the person that you are today. So my strong advice is just to keep on pushing through. Do not feed into the bullshit as hard as it goes.
Depend on no one.
Depend on nobody but yourself. The only true friends that you have is the roof over your head and the money in your pocket.
Oh, preach. Oof.
It's true.
Now,
that's your only two friends you got in this world.
That being said, what advice would you give yourself 1 year from today?
To be more patient with myself and to give myself more credit where it's due. That's the best advice I can give myself. I am my biggest critic. I think that I always have something to improve on, or that I didn't do this right, or I don't look at my accomplishments that I've done as accomplishments. And that's my biggest flaw right there, is I don't see what I've done as anything special. I just see it as me living my normal life. And so that's where I like to see myself in a year, is look back and reflect. And like I said, give myself more credit where it's due. I mean, where I am in my life is not where most people are, especially at my age. So
right. Definitely. Before we do head out here, let me just ask you a couple more questions. Is that cool?
Huh?
Is that cool if I ask you a couple more questions? What is your biggest life regret to date? What is your biggest life regret?
My biggest life regret. That's hard.
Be honest with yourself.
I think my biggest life regret. Oh God, that's so. I never really asked that. I think it's maybe. No, it's not even that. It's not seeing my grandfather when my mother and I stopped talking.
Has he passed away?
He died 9 months after I left Alaska. And the reasoning why is because my mother was so toxic and manipulative and controlling that she got into his head that I was this horrible person. So he didn't want to speak to me. And when I found out he died, she was telling me all these horrible things that he was saying about me. And it really fucked with me for years. Like, really fucked with me. Not calling him and, driving past his house, not seeing him anymore. Now, all I have literally is a tombstone I talk to. So I think that's my biggest regret, is not being active with my grandparents like I should have.
Oh man. On a note like that, if you had one wish, what would that one wish be?
To be happy. To be truly happy without any depression.
What is that gonna take?
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to live my life to find it.
Maybe happiness is the journey.
Exactly. Happiness is a journey. Because I'm a whole lot happier than what I was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. But I want to be happier in my life.
For sure, Joey. Any final messages to anybody who might see this video?
remember that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to go out and do things by yourself. You don't need a crowd. You don't need somebody to go to a restaurant with. Take yourself on a date. Travel. Have fun. Live in the moment. And if you want to do something, you are the only one stopping you. That's it. Fuck it. Have fun.
Shit, no, thank you so much for your time here. And just three last fire questions. So just first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
How many terms did Benjamin Franklin serve?
2.
Best rapper of all time.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper?
Yes.
Best president of all time.
Barack Obama.
Ooh, best music artist of all time.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, and that is time, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Joey.